Hello guys and welcome to a new video. So a couple of days ago I actually got interviewed for a radio show and we were talking about life in general and 2020 and riding out this pandemic as a full-time musician. And one thing led to another and we ended up talking about previous jobs that we've had. So naturally I started talking about my gig at Sam Ash. And so he said, "Oh man, I'm sure that was a sweet gig. Living the dream, right?" And I told him no. Of course, it definitely had some perks, but it also had a lot of negatives. So we're talking about it, and he asked me what was the worst experience you had with a customer. And of course, if you've been in customer service, then you know we've all had plenty.
Here we go. Yeah, I got it all.
But I always go back to the same story. And it was so fun to tell the story and his reaction that he told me you should really do a video about it. And I figured, why not? It sounds like a great idea. So gather round, children, for the first ever story time with Pat. But before we get to that, make sure you destroy that like button, drop me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel like a man if you haven't yet. Okay, so in case you're new to the channel, I actually worked at Sam Ash for 7 years. And I went all the way from salesman to department manager to senior department manager. And I've had my fair share of bad customers. But here's the deal. By the time this story happened, I was already a senior department manager. So I had a lot of things on my plate. Now keep in mind, the Sam Ash store I worked at was actually the biggest musical retail store in the whole world by square footage. And I was responsible for $1.5 million in inventory. Of course, there were 5 people in the guitar department. But as a senior department manager, I actually had to overlook all the other departments too. So I would run around the store a lot, and that is a huge store. But in 2013, sales had dropped significantly. So of course, we would try to go the extra mile to make a customer happy, so that they would come back into the store, instead of just buying it online, like people do nowadays. So anyway, I'm helping one of my salesmen try to close a sale, when this guy walks in, super pissed off, guitar in hand, and he walks into the guitar department and he just throws the guitar on top of the counter. Mind you, they were actually glass counters. So of course, all 3 of us just look at him and he says, "I demand to speak to a manager." So of course in my mind I'm like, here we go. So I walk over to the guy and I ask him, "What's the problem?" And he looks at me and goes, "This is a piece of shit." So I look at it and it's a $100 guitar. So I go, "Yeah, so?" Completely threw him off. So then he's like, "Well, you guys sold it to me." So I said, "Well, yeah, I'm sure we tried to sell you a better guitar, but you just didn't want to spend the money on it." So of course, at this point, I'm being passive aggressive, and he gets pissed. So I asked him, "Okay, so we've established it's a piece of crap, but why is it here?" And he says, "The guitar's busted, I demand a new one." So I asked him, "What's wrong with the guitar? What's broken?" And he said, "The string popped." So I look at it and in fact it was missing the first string. So I tell him, it's very common for the first string to break. It is a thin string. And he starts screaming at me that the guitar is faulty and that the string should have lasted a longer time. So I asked him, "When did you buy the guitar?" And he said, "I bought it for my daughter for Christmas." And we were in September. So yeah, I took a deep breath and I told him, "Strings break. See this behind me? All of these are strings. And we have these many strings because you're supposed to replace the strings every 3 to 6 months. And that's even if you don't play it and if you know what you're doing." To what he replied, "But don't you have any sort of warranty on the guitar?" And I told him, "Yes, in fact it does have a 2-year manufacturer's warranty. Which means that if anything is defective and it came out of the factory like that, then you have 2 years to replace it. But a string is actually expendable. You're supposed to replace the strings ever so often." And of course he wasn't having any of that. So I tell him, "Look, you don't have to buy a whole pack. Just buy the 1 string and I will replace it and tune the guitar for you for free so that you and I can get on with our day." And he starts waving his arms around and saying, "I'm not paying for this, is all your fault. You guys sold me a faulty guitar." So I interrupt him and I tell him, "Dude, the string is $1. And he looks at me and he goes, $1? Don't you have anything used?" At which point I had it. I told him, "Look, here's $1. Go pay for it at the counter, bring the string back to me, and I will replace it for you for free." So he did. He brought the string back I replaced the string, I tuned it up, cleaned the guitar up because it was filthy, and I always feel sorry for the guitars because it's really not its fault that its owner is a pig. So yeah, I gave him the guitar back and he was so happy. He thanked me and left. Now this store actually had glass front, so you could see outside. And at that point, we were still able to park in the front. So this guy gets on his car and he's driving a Bentley. Anyway, you know what? I was happy to be done with that guy. Because if you remember, I was actually trying to help my salesman close on a deal. And that customer patiently waited throughout this whole story. So yeah, that's basically it. That was probably the worst customer ever. But to add insult to injury, from then on, every time he needed anything at all, he came into the store and asked for yours truly by name.
No! No! No!
Every time. And the days I was actually off, he left and came back the next day just to deal with this guy here. So yeah, we actually had a really good relationship after that. So Carlos, if you ever see this, drop me a comment in the comment section. It'd be funny to hear from you again. Okay guys, so I really hope you guys enjoyed the video and that you liked the story. And if you did and you want to hear more stories like these, don't forget to drop me a comment in the comment section down below. I am trying to gauge to see what you guys like to see because I have a ton of ideas, but I just don't know if it's going to be interesting for you guys. So yeah, let me know, and don't forget to drop me a like and subscribe to this channel like a man. I will see you guys next time. Pat out. Metal on, dudes.